Hello and welcome back to the Hazzabhajan YouTube channel. It is Harry here, and today it is time for the continuation of the football alphabet series as we move into the letter S. And in today's video, as is normally the case when we do the football alphabet, we look at the clubs whose names begin with S. There isn't much of a longer introduction needed because the concept by now I'm sure is pretty self-explanatory, but of course, if you missed any of the episodes thus far, a link to the playlist with all the football alphabet episodes in it is in the description down below, and please do hit the like button if you enjoy the video and subscribe if you haven't done so already. So without any further ado, here is my Hall of Fame of clubs whose names begin with the letter S. Number 1. Santos. In case any clarification for some reason is needed, I'm referring of course to the Brazilian team by the name of Santos, who edge out Sao Paulo to be the country's representatives in this video, and not the one in South Africa or the one in Jamaica, who were actually named in honour of the Brazilian club and playing a kit inspired by that of the Brazilian national team. Formed in 1912 after a 14-hour conference, they were actually founded hours before the Titanic sank, and there is a saying that goes, quote, "One giant sank into the ocean, and on this day another was born." Close quote. Bit conceited, but okay. They wouldn't win their first regional title until 1935, although in 1927 they would score a staggering 100 goals in just 16 games across the season at 6.25 goals per game, but still came second. Don't ask me how. It was with the emergence of a young Edson Arantes do Nascimento in 1957 that the club's fortunes turned around drastically, as they would win 10 regional titles, 6 Brazilian Serie A's, 2 Copa Libertadores and 2 Intercontinental Cups during his 18-year association with the club, including doing the treble in 1962. That player's nickname, in case you hadn't figured it out by now, was Pelé. Although their finances were often in jeopardy during these halcyon days owing to their modestly sized stadium, they compensated for this by touring around the world frequently, visiting countries like England, Italy and Spain on a regular basis, with Pelé of course being the star attraction. Reports even suggest that a visit to the Congo induced a temporary ceasefire, although the normally arrogant Pelé doesn't believe this to be true. Upon Pelé's departure, as is so often the case when a great era at a club comes to an end, the club's fortunes dipped drastically, as between 1973 and 2002 they would only win 2 more regional titles and 1 Copa Conmebol, although they would win 2 more Brazilian Serie A titles in 2002 and 2004, their last ones to date. They finished second last season and currently find themselves down in 8th place, 9 points adrift of leaders Internacional, with Neymar, Robinho, Zé Roberto, Carlos Alberto and, of course, Pelé being just 5 particular standouts from a well-stacked Hall of Fame. Number 2. Sevilla. One of the 2 oldest clubs in Spain alongside Recreativo, Sevilla were founded on the 25th of January 1890 by a mixture of Spanish and Scottish people, of course the 25th of January being the day the Burns Night is celebrated, and they won the first ever organised match in Spain, beating Recreativo 2-0. Between 1917 and 1940, they would win all but 3 of the 19 Andalusia regional championships which took place during this time, but they wouldn't be able to reach the top flight of Spanish football until 1934, losing in a playoff final to Racing Santander to miss out only just on taking part in the very first season of La Liga in 1929. Once there, they immediately established themselves, winning the Spanish Cup in 1935, 1939 and 1948, and then finishing runners-up in the league on 4 occasions between 1940 and 1957, and even winning it in 1946, their only league triumph to date. However, they would experience a financial crisis owing to building a new stadium in the early 1970s, and they were bound in between the first and second tiers of Spanish football up until 2001, when they won promotion back to the top flight and have remained there ever since. From then on, they have become Europa League specialists, as since 2006 they have managed to win a staggering 6 UEFA Cups or Europa Leagues, including last season and 3 in a row between 2014 and 2016, more than any other team in the competition's history. Famous players who have played for the club include Diego Maradona, Sergio Ramos, Dani Alves and Jesus Navas, who currently captains the Andalusian outfit. Number 3. Sporting Lisbon. Staying in the Iberian region for our next team, we move next door to Portugal to profile one of their big 3, albeit they are third out of them. Officially titled Sporting Club de Portugal but colloquially referred to as Sporting Lisbon, they were established in 1906 after members of Sport Club de Belas were torn apart on whether or not to move into sports or stick to social events, and those that sided with the former option eventually left the club to form Sporting Club de Portugal. Once the Primeira Liga was formed in 1935, Sporting were immediately a part of it, and they have never been relegated since. They would win 10 of their 18 league titles and 5 of their 17 Portuguese Cup triumphs during the 40s and 50s, spearheaded by the quintet who became known as the 5 Violins, and between 1956 and 1980 they would either finish in the top 2 of the league or reach a cup final at the very least every single season. they are the only team from Portugal's Big Three not to win a European Cup or Champions League in their history, with their only European triumph to date coming in the form of a European Cup Winners' Cup in 1963-64. However, they've only managed to win 2 league titles since 1982 and none at all since 2002, meaning that Benfica and Porto have overtaken them quite drastically and opened up a seismic gap between themselves and Lisbon outfits in recent times. But then again, neither of those two have had players such as Cristiano Ronaldo, Luis Figo, Peter Schmeichel or Fernando Perocho on their books. So who's the real winner? Number 4. Schalke 04. As the number in their name and on their badge would suggest, Schalke were founded in 1904 by some high school students and originally wore a red and yellow kit before changing to their royal blue colours in 1924 after a separation from a gymnastics club which they merged with in order to gain access into the league. Seems like they were used as nothing more than a pawn in their game, and that their collaboration does seem a little bit disingenuous, but I guess you gotta do what you gotta do in order to succeed, eh? Nicknamed the Miners after originally drawing most of their playing staff from local coal mines, their golden age came during the Nazi era, an era which I have covered in terms of its relation to football on this channel before, and you can find a link to that video if you haven't seen it already in the description. They would win their regional league every single season between 1934 and 1944, only losing 6 matches during that time, all of them being away from home, and they reached the national final 9 times, winning 6 and losing 3, with their style of play, known as the spinning top, bamboozling all who played them. Unbelievably though, they've only managed to win 1 league title since 1944 after they beat Hamburg in the 1958 national final, meaning that they are surely one of the biggest clubs not to have won the Bundesliga since it was established in 1963. The closest they came was in 2001 after they beat Unterhaching 5-3 on the final day of the season to assumedly grant them the league title, with fans subsequently storming the pitch in celebration, believing the league to finally be theirs after a 43-year wait. Unfortunately, their title rivals Bayern's game had kicked off later than theirs, and they would score a last-minute equaliser away at Hamburg to snatch the title away from the Royal Blues, giving them the unfortunate nickname of the 4-minute champions. They've won the UEFA Cup once in 1997 and the DFB Pokal 5 times, but the club which has seen the likes of Leroy Sané, Jens Lehmann, Fritz Stepan and Klaas-Jan Huntelaar don their kit are still searching for that elusive Bundesliga title, and that seems a pipe dream now as they currently sit in last place in the Bundesliga on just 3 points, having conceded 31 goals in just 9 games. Number 5. Shakhtar Donetsk. Shakhtar Donetsk originally came into being in 1936, and they were originally called Stakhnevets in honor of the Stakhnevite movement, named after Alexander Stakhanov, a miner whom the Soviets had made a celebrity owing to his diligence on the job, meaning that, much like the previous entrance of Schalke, the Donetsk outfit's nickname is the Miners. Changing their name to Shakhtar in 1946, they still maintain close ties with Russia to this day, given their location in the east of the country, even putting their club website in Russian as opposed to Ukrainian as the default language. Although they'd never won the Soviet First Division, they were only outside of it for 1 season between 1955 and 1992, and they came second in 1979, winning 4 Soviet Cups in the meantime. Upon the Soviet Union's dissolution, they would become highly prevalent in the Ukrainian Premier League, but it was the arrival of President Rinat Akhmetov in 1996 which signalled a change in fortunes for the club. His aim was to make Shakhtar not just the second best club in the country behind Dynamo Kiev, but the best full stop. And whilst they came second in 7 out of his 8 seasons between 1996 and 2004, his appointment of Mircea Lucescu in 2004 proved the turning point. Under his stewardship, the club won 8 out of the 12 available league titles, including 5 in a row between 2010 and 2014, and after his departure in 2016, they have won each of the last 4, even picking up a UEFA Cup along the way in 2009. However, owing to conflict in their home region, they had to move away from the Donbass arena in 2014, proving to be nomads ever since, as they have played in Lviv and Kharkiv, with their current home, or temporary home at least, being Kiev, with Dario Serna, Henrik Mkhitaryan, Douglas Costa and Fernandinho all notable alumni. That's where it wraps up today's video on the clubs whose names begin with S. I really do hope you've enjoyed it. If you have, hit that like button and hit the subscribe button if you haven't done so already, and comment with who you think might feature in the S video for players. But thank you very much for watching, and until next time, I'll see you then.